We have here a 2012 Golf. The customer's complaint was that his wife was driving down the road and just had an incidence of low power, and he continuously said that there was a warning on the dash that said electric panel. I have no clue what that meant, so I continually quizzed him, and basically all I got out of him was that there was a message in the driver information center is what I interpreted. We will make some checks and see what this vehicle needs to repair it. So let's see what trouble codes we have. We have 00290 throttle position sensor G69 P0122 signal too low. And 000546 angle sensor 2 throttle G188 P0222 signal too low. And 001169 secondary air injection system P0491 insufficient flow. Customer did say the check engine light was on before, so this is probably the code that was in there. We're going to ignore this one for now. I always do an auto scan and save the auto scan as soon as I bring the car in. And the auto scan codes were different than the codes I just took on video. Only one of them was different here. Here's the auto scan right here. And let me zoom in here. That there is the same code. This throttle position sensor code P0122. But the second code is actually 545, which is P0221. The code we just scanned for the video was P0546 with 00546 with P0222. Now the definitions were the same, angle sensor for throttle, G188. I don't know what that means for the diagnosis, but I'm going to go through what I know about the system. The other complication I'm having is, let me zoom out here so you can see what I'm doing. I type in P0222 in Pro Demand, Mitchell on Demand, and it pulls up a trouble tree for the accelerator pedal position sensor. That is the pedal position sensor. A lot of people might call it a throttle position sensor, but pedal position sensor is at your foot on the gas pedal. P0221 also pulls up similar information on the accelerator pedal position sensor. P0121 also has information there on the accelerator pedal position sensor. And if you click P0121, most of the information it's saying is all this right here is saying check the accelerator pedal position sensor. Accelerator pedal position sensor includes G79. You can see that. Includes G79 and G185. Neither of those were mentioned in our trouble codes. Right here you can see it talks about the G79 and G185, both of which are on the accelerator pedal position sensor. Is the G69 on the actual throttle body itself? I know there's two sensors in there. Is the G69 one of them and the G188 the other? I've yet to see G69 in any of the technical info from Pro Demand, and I don't know anything from past experience. I guess we'll have to get some OE wiring schematics, because I know the OE schematics have the device labels such as G69 and G188, so maybe that'll clarify. Okay, so ProDemand was nice enough to email me some original equipment schematics. Looks like they got them right off of Irwin. You can see the Irwin logo right there underneath that little monkey looking guy. And here is our accelerator pedal position sensor, G79 and G185, but I already knew that. Our trouble codes relate to the G69 and G188, and if we go up here 2 more pages, we do see, yikes, our G188 there. Okay, right there, I can't get my mouse on it. And these, much like every other make, are 2 throttle position sensors. This right here is the G185, is the throttle motor itself. All these are defined up here in the where those acronyms are defined. So G185 is the motor, 2 throttle position sensors here. The 2 throttle position sensors share a power and share a ground. Honestly, I don't know which is which at this point, but see how these 2 branch off, so that's shared power to both throttle position sensors, and this branches off, so it's shared ground to both throttle position sensors. Could be the other way around though. And this is obviously signal return. Any 3-wire sensor you check by checking power, check ground, and signal return. Well, let's see what the throttle position sensors say in the data stream on this car. So since we have trouble codes relating to the throttle, we should go in the data stream and see, or the measuring blocks as Volkswagen calls it, and see what if that gives us any direction. The group on this is 62 for the throttle related stuff, and the accelerator, I might need to zoom in here. Accelerator position sensor. I'm going to put my foot on the throttle and floor it. And as you can see, it goes up and down, up, down. Based on what I know, the APP sensor, this field is outputting half as much voltage as the other sensor. That's just the way it works. That's a way you can easily tell if the signal is right. And so literally that 7.4% is literally half of 14.8%. So this voltage coming out of the accelerator pedal position sensor will always be half of that one. Let's see if that's exactly the case when we floor it. 88.7, 44.1. Oh, my foot ain't pushing hard enough. So 44 is definitely half of 88, not exactly half on the point, decimal point, but it's just an average thing anyway. Okay, so let's look at the throttle position sensor. And pretty sure earlier in the video that throttle valve was showing 0 right there. But the throttle sensors in the throttle body, basically the 2 of them work at the inverse of each other. So this one will be high, and then when you floor it, it'll go low. This one will be low, and then when you floor it, it'll go high. So let's see if that's the way it works. I'm going to step on it. They are 3-wire sensors, 5-volt reference, variable resistors. The gist of it is that if you total these 2 up, it should always equal 100%, because the way the voltages are set up in as they output from the throttle body, from the 2 individual sensors, the 2 voltages will always total 5 volts. So you'll have 2.5 volts and 2.5 volts on one, or you'll have 2 volts on one and 3 on the other. So they always total up to 5 volts, meaning these percentages will always total 100, or very near 100, maybe not exact. So let's add this up here. 15.6 plus 84 is 99.6. So it's within 0.4%. I'm almost 100% confident that showed 0 before I panned over here. And that could be our problem. Of course, our trouble code related to the G188, not to the G187. But could be an intermittent problem. Okay, it's not too bad to get to the throttle body to do some checks of the throttle position sensors there. Okay, it isn't that tight, isn't that bad to get in there and back probe. It is a little bit close to this pipe. I have a back probe connector for my meter, but it's a little long to get in there, so I'm just going to use a T-pin. So the first wire I need to back probe is the violet with yellow. That's for the G188 sensor. It's really hard to see in there to really know I'm getting it back probed correctly. I don't know if I was sticking my head in the camera or not. Trying to get the meter in there. Let me just connect this. Put the meter in there. And it does have 4.2 volts. It's kind of what I was expecting. And when I give it some throttle, drops down low, 0.7 there. The other signal return wire is the black and violet. Here we have 0.7 volts. Goes up to 4.2. Let's take a look at the APP sensor. Yeah, there's our APP sensor underneath the throttle. Not impossible to test. We could back probe that and get some voltages out of it, I think. Don't know that I want to. Not sure whether that's our problem or not. That G69, what's a G69? Somebody tell me. Leave it in the comments. Okay, after leaving the car and coming back several times, not having it act up, I road tested the car and I did have it go to low power mode, and the EPC light did come on. So let's check it now that it's quote-unquote acting up. On the violet with yellow wire, and we have 4 volts like we're supposed to. Move the throttle, it does change. And now we'll move it to the black and violet wire. And here we have no voltage, no fluctuation when I shake the cables. Might not have the pin in all the way. Let me manipulate that a little bit. Still have no voltage. Let's see what happens. I don't really want to move the... Well, let's see what happens when we move the throttle. Does change. We have 0 volts here. Is there a worn spot in the resistor? And when the brush hits that worn spot, it goes open. Let's take a look at the scan data. we'll go back into fault codes, and with G69 P0122 trouble code did reoccur. And go to measuring box 62. Oh, and looky there. That G187 field, once again, is showing 0%. I think we found our problem. Definitely the throttle body on the G187 sensor, based on this. I guess VAGCOM's labels could be incorrect. These two could be switched around. The G187 sensor is definitely showing 0% here, and out at the throttle body it's showing no voltage coming out. Yet I'm definitely connected, because when I shake the cables, there's no fluctuation in from stray voltage, and when I give it gas, or I'm sorry, when I move the throttle blade, it does change voltage there. But yet when it comes back down to closed throttle, it goes open again, not outputting any voltage. I think that's conclusive. I'm going to make this check a couple more times just to make sure, and probably going to recommend a throttle body. We've got the used throttle body from the salvage yard. Customer elected to go with a used throttle body because the new one was $400+. This one saved him a whole bunch of money, and I just wanted to give some advice to anybody who's installing this. You want to open up the throttle blade, take some brake clean, spray it on a shop towel, and wipe the bore off, wipe any carbon off where the throttle plate meets the wall of the throttle body, and then get the throttle plate itself on both sides. Any carbon buildup might cause a problem in there. This one's fairly clean, but I'll hit it just a little bit. We'll get it installed and road tested. Not much to show getting the throttle body installed. It's super easy. It only has 4 bolts and a vacuum hose and an electrical plug-in. So that's done. The other thing I wanted to show was the resetting the throttle basic settings. So we'll need to turn the key on and scan the engine, and then go to basic settings. Probably do a drop down here, but it's 60. Throttle body alignment, it pulls up 60 here, and then just push on. It already says OK because the throttle had adapted just fine to the previous throttle body, but this throttle body is slightly different level of carbon buildup, etc., etc. So you want to run the adaptation anyway. So you push on, and you can hear the throttle doing things, and you can see it's made some changes there. Adaptation steps went up, and then ADP says OK. Not hard to do, as long as everything's working. If everything isn't working, if this would have said 0, it wouldn't have run this throttle adaptation. So I just finished the road test on the Golf with the throttle related trouble codes, and I wanted to review the diagnosis. Actually, it was a pretty easy diagnosis, except for the fact that the problem kept coming and going. If the problem would have been there and been there steady, I think I would have nailed it right off the bat. I would have saw the discrepancy on the measuring blocks in field 62, group 62, field 1, and then I would have went to the straight to the throttle body and checked the 2 sensors there, and if it would have consistently had a bad reading, then I would have caught it right off the bat and made the diagnosis. But instead I chased my tail for hours because the problem went away. So in review, the trouble code tree in ProDemand, which probably others are similar also, didn't really clarify whether those codes related to the throttle body or the APP sensor. Even VAGCOM gave a device code number of G69, which doesn't exist still as far as I know on this car. The other device number it gave was G188, and either that was incorrect or the measuring box was incorrect, because the problem that I actually had was on the G187. Don't know how to know which one was incorrect. Maybe my problem was the G188 and VAGCOM defined it incorrectly. Doesn't really matter, because the way you would diagnose this problem is find what's obviously bad and fix it. And that's what I was able to do. In review, the two throttle position sensors at the throttle body, their voltages should be the inverse of each other. One of them starts high at 4.5 volts and drops down low to approximately 0.5 volts. The other one starts low at 0.5 volts and goes high to approximately 4.5 volts. The gist of it is the two of them together should always total 5 volts. With regards to the APP sensor, I never showed anything in the video about checking that. I definitely spent some time checking it. I back probed, I tested power, tested ground, test signal return on both sensors that are in the APP. The wiring schematic showed those sensors as being solid state and not a conventional TPS with a variable resistor. But still, the sensors would test just like a variable resistor. The gist of it is one signal return wire should always have half as much voltage as the other signal return wire. And so if you had 4 volts on one, you'd have 2 volts on the other. If you had 3 volts on one, you'd have 1.5 on the other. It's an easy test, so they're a comparison of each other. Hope this was helpful. If you want to see me make more Volkswagen videos, click like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.